What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Coffee Club, episode 99.4. Once again, we've got a little duo action going down. George is back in Boulder, Ollie is down under still, and our friend Morg is probably just having the time of his life in Tuscany with apparently very little Wi Fi at the Tuscany on camp, which we'll let him talk about next week. But we're here. Ollie, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, George. No, it's good to be back. I know Morgan probably wishes we could do the three of us again, but he's in heaven at the moment in Tuscany, I imagine. It sounds like a beautiful setup there. The only thing you're missing is Wi-Fi, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he needs a step away from all the social media and stuff and be able to enjoy the bliss of Tuscany camp that On has in Italy. So
I think it'll
no,
be a
excited to
perfect
yeah,
little
it'd be perfect.
pre Worlds camp, pre Road Worlds camp.
100%. Yeah, he's got another world championships to deal with,
I know,
so he's
ridiculous.
busy. He's busy.
We got a couple little shout outs to get the episode underway. I've been kind enough to be sent by old mate Matt Baxter,
Bixter.
as Ollie would say, from Flag, a couple of a couple of copies of Running Up the Mountain, which is Baxter's latest work of words. He's kind of been known for it in his time. He had that one a few years ago where he journaled his that season for a bit, and yeah, he's always been into writing, and he's gone all in this time and put together a whole book with former coach Ron Mann, and sent a couple of copies to the boys here. So just want to say thanks to Matt, and I haven't read it yet, just opened them up, but it looks to be just bloody well put together, and for the history of NAU Cross and kind of what's been going on there, and there's some cool graphics in there, like some few good photos of years gone by, and a bit of a map of Flagstaff, and from what I've just flicked through. So thanks, Matty. I'll
I think
definitely
I
have a
think our
read of that.
listeners want to know how many photos of George are in the book. That's what
Actually,
I want
there's
to know.
quite a few from
Oh, there we
surprising.
go. So that's a reason to buy the book is you'll see a lot of photos of George in his
I didn't
college
make the cover
days.
though.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised you didn't, to be honest. We have to talk to Bixter about that.
These jerseys are very cool. But go check that out if you want to read about some any NCAA just cross country dynasty. Yeah, Ollie, what's your little tidbit?
Yeah, I would like to promote a new coffee shop in the area for our Shire listeners or even Sydney listeners that want to travel into the Shire. There's a coffee shop that's just up the road from where I live. It's called Flower. It's been in development for a while. My parents have been tracking it. My mum, in particular, is an avid coffee drinker, and it looks amazing. It was getting built up really nice. The owner used to work at Grind, which I think a lot of Australians will know. Grind, the coffee shop, quite successful place, and he's built up this coffee and dough room. And if you're in the area, if you're in the Shire and you're a listener and you want to try a new coffee spot, it's unreal. Coffee's amazing. People there are fantastic, and it's a really cool setup and vibe. And it's kind of away from everything a little bit, so that's a nice aspect of it too. And the best feature of it, in my opinion, which I know George would absolutely love if he ever gets to my neck of the woods, is that they've got a kind of a section that's kind of built off with a bit of a glass looking in window, and you can see them preparing a lot of the pastries, the bread. They make brekkie sandwiches that were unreal. I had one yesterday, and all sorts of pastries and delicious things, and they all make them on site at the coffee shop. So if you're interested, they don't know I'm promoting this, um, but if you're interested, go to Flower, grab a coffee. And it's lovely there. So that's my little tidbit is just to support local small business, and they're really cool, and they got some great stuff there, and they're also reasonably priced too. So I know the one thing that Aussies and New Zealanders probably complain about is the price of coffee and a pastry in the morning when you're going to work. They're great, and
What does a flat
it's
white
awesome.
cost in Sydney these days?
So I got a flat white. Let me check. because I the problem is my Apple Card that I use, right, George? It goes into it's automatic for the transfer for so there's no transaction fees internationally, so it just goes straight to US dollars. So for
So
US
just
dollars, I got two coffees and a pastry. It cost me $6 US. That's
so
probably
that
about
sounds quite
10.
good.
No, it's really they're amazing, and it's good
I think that
coffee,
actually,
great pastries.
I think
So
hopefully, I think that's probably to do with, at least in New Zealand, the dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and I think the Australian dollar are quite uh, weak at the moment against the US.
yes, they are.
So
Yeah,
if you go down there with US dollars, very, you can live up. You can live it up. So I'm
very
looking
much
forward
so.
to that next week. Where the New Zealand dollar is like 59 cents right now against
Hmm.
the US. I'm just gonna be freaking living
Throwing out
large.
money. You'd be
That's the
saving
problem.
money. Usually we go to countries like Switzerland and we're losing all our money buying coffee
Yeah, exactly.
and
You go to
groceries and
Europe and
stuff.
it's
Now
all
you're
the
going
other,
to now it's
it's
always
the other
going to
way.
equal out because you go back and you don't have to spend as much money. So that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
I've
my
been
tidbit.
tasked with bringing all sorts of shit back to New Zealand still though. Somehow, even though the dollar's good, everything is still so expensive. So
Mm.
I'm bringing my brother back like a face razor, and I just ordered 72 tennis balls online to throw in my bag
to, to,
to bring back.
to bring back,
Stuff like
man.
that is weirdly expensive in New Zealand. But anyway, we'll get on to
Tennis
that
ball
later.
shortage
So,
in New
but
Zealand.
on the schedule today, couple of race recaps, couple of race previews to get into later, and then we might finish off with a couple of Q&As that um, me and Morg tackled a couple last week, but we had so many good ones. So thanks everyone for that. But I think seeing as we've had a week off from hearing what Ollie's up to, I think we just start with the classic Ollie update and see what's been happening.
um,
What's
yeah.
new?
Uh, yeah. No, it's been good here and been sad. I had a funeral on Tuesday and that was tough. Obviously, when well, everyone goes through a situation where they tackle weddings and funerals, and you go happy and sad or whatever, you get like, the effect afterwards. And he was a very close family friend of ours, and that was a tough experience. But it was nice to celebrate his life, and it was a very much big part of my whole family, my dad, my mum, my brother's life, and mine. So I was very lucky to be home for it and to pay my respects. Uh, in general, the whole house has been good. Chris's finger is recovering from his nail gun incident. He's back at work. And in general, my training's been great. I've been feeling good with the rehab. Um, I really am sick of not being able to run. I walked up the road this morning to grab my coffee, and I saw all these people just running and waving and smiling, and it really gave me the shits because I couldn't run. But I maybe be happy to know that I am back running. I'm gonna try. It's more of a hot girl walk run situation. Um, so Ritz has got me on that schedule, and I'll do that today. Uh, Maybe down near the beach or something, just to check how things are going. Lifting's been going great. Jason's been fantastic. Been very fortunate to have him and Glenn Colico, who's the physio, has been working on me 3 times a week. He's been amazing, needling me every day, and doing soft tissue massage and stuff, and just making sure that the rest of my body's doing as well as my abductors and um, adductors and stuff like that. So, um,
Where are
and
these
then I
needles?
come home on Sunday. The needle's massive. It's like that long,
Where's he putting it?
big ass needles.
Right
He
in
put
your pubes.
Yeah, they're like this big. And the thing is, I don't look because I'm like, oh, if I look, I'll get wigged out, and I don't want to get
I
that
know.
head
I
noise.
also don't. I don't like looking.
I just like lay there, and then he does it, and we just chat. And he's actually quite good. He doesn't usually hit a nerve. Sometimes he does, and you're like, oh, that kind of sucked. But anyway, I looked down. I was like, I wonder what they look like pulling out. And he pulled it out, and it was like that long. I was like, holy shit, man, that was in me, like that whole thing. Anyway, I come back on Sunday, so I'm excited to come back. I think I was gonna hopefully, I wanted to be here till the 28th, but I also need to pick up Gus. I need my Gus time. I know he's on. He actually is probably having a better time than anybody else I know at the moment. Jenna is his special person, and George, but I think Jenna in particular is his special person. He is getting spoiled. He looks very happy in the photos. He's frolicking around, having a great time, even though he's been stung by a wasp and a bee. He's been stung by anything or everything, but I'm excited
He's
to see
looking
him.
pretty
I'm
lean.
excited to get home. He's
I
pretty
think
lean
he's
and mean.
looking
Yeah,
trim.
yeah, he is. Excited to come back with him because he's going to be great for me for my walk runs. He's going to join me with those.
So wait,
Um,
what do you have today? Is it classic minute on, minute jog, minute
let
walk,
me
or something?
let me get it up for everyone to
Let's
see.
see
So
what
I
Ollie's
have
final score
5 by 4 minute,
these days.
5 by 4 minute jog, 1 minute walk,
Oh, 4 minutes of jogging
80%.
and then 1 minute.
Yeah,
That's a decent amount.
yeah. We'll see how it goes today. I'm gonna do it this afternoon. I was gonna do it. I don't actually. This is a good question to ask you, George, on the pod. Do you think something like that? Because I, I actually don't know. I was gonna go run on like a field somewhere and just do it like that, or I was gonna just do it on the treadmill. So then, if anything happens, I can just stop and then move off. And do my lifting and stuff. As well. So I was probably gonna do it on the treadmill. What do you think?
Is it a woodway?
They're pretty nice treadmills. They're not Woodways, but they're pretty nice.
I
Like
would
they're
say
probably like the Nordic ones.
I feel like flatter is probably better. So if it's not a treadmill, then somewhere flat-ish, I would say
Okay.
for the first ones.
Okay.
But I honestly don't think it would. I don't think it would make a huge difference in this kind of situation. I think you just, if it doesn't feel good, you probably just walk a
Stop.
bit more.
Yeah,
Just walk
pretty
more.
much.
It's not like you're getting very far away.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited to come back to the US and get back in the routine. I've been very quiet with the rest of my team. I've gotten messages from teammates, Joe Clucker and others saying, "Where the fuck are you?" But I'd love to come back and see everyone and see everyone's doing and congratulate them on amazing year of racing and training and stuff. But I feel like it's good for the team to not have me around because I probably bring down the IQ a bit too much and cause too much trouble. So hopefully it's been nice and blissful until I come back and start ripping shit apart like an untrained dog. But in general, I'm looking forward to coming back, and I'm excited to read Matt Baxter's book and hang out with George and Morgan and be at like the old days. So that's the update from Ollie.
It is a little weird at the moment. There's like no one, not that many of the team around, and then also there's just like no one in Boulder. We're at the track this morning, and it was like me, Yared, Mario working out, and Corey McGee working out. You could show up like a couple of months ago, early summer, and it's like the full force of Team Boss, 10 Man, OAC, everyone showing up all at the same time. The track's like, and every other person in Boulder, track's just going off. But this time of year, it is eerily quiet here. But
Mm,
ticked off the last workout of the year this morning, which is,
that must be nice.
yeah, it's a weird feeling actually. I feel like I swear Riss was getting emotional afterwards.
Yeah.
He's like, he doesn't he just wants it to never end.
Yeah,
If,
he's like, I don't want it ever to end. I don't want it to end. Please come back. Don't leave me.
that was pretty funny, but nice to get to the end of the
Uh,
season.
yeah,
Still,
100%.
feeling pretty good. So
You've had an alright year, George.
not taking that for granted. So,
You've had an alright year. Fifth in the
it'll be
world.
good. But when you get back, you'll have a solid month to plan the gala, and
Yes, and
we'll need.
I would like to attack. Ask our listeners, a bit of a question here. What should we do theme wise for the gala? Because I would think personally, um, I would like something a bit more unique. I know there's been questioning around a Barbie theme. My mum actually came up with an
Yes,
idea
you know
yesterday
what?
of the boys. Morgan.
No,
Who
there
was
was
it?
someone I ran into at Creature Coffee yesterday.
No shit. Jamie?
I mean, that's no, there's no reason you would be able to know, but that was
Oh,
Pasoni's suggestion.
Parsons. He would look great as a Barbie.
He would.
Um,
One of
yeah,
another couple of people that have suggested it, but
Yeah, I mean, I would do. My mum said if you want to do the Barbie thing, you should have the girls dress up as Oppenheimer, and then the guys dress up as Barbie, not Ken. She said it would be funny,
Well,
but
they actually
I
wouldn't.
mean,
It wouldn't be bad just doing both, and you could Barbie
yeah,
or you
you
could
could
come
pick.
dressed as Barbie, or you could
Yeah,
come in Oppenheimer.
yeah. I was thinking of one where you could dress. I don't know. The participation of that would be hard. So that's why I want to ask our listeners what we should do with the gala, because you kind of want it to relate a little bit to Coffee Club in some way, maybe. Dress is your favorite reference. That was one that I thought. So I could dress as a reference of something, or you wear a T-shirt with a reference on it. I don't know, but yeah, we'll put that out there to see if anybody has a good idea. Barbie and Oppenheimer could be it. Barbieheimer.
I think we
George
should.
has the hair already for a Barbie, so you'd
That's
be
true.
great. You have to get
True.
straightened and flow over.
I think we should
Morgan
decide
actually would be
more
a
than one day out. I feel like last year we decided pretty much the day before and came up with graphic T-shirts. I think we
yeah,
can
we
do better.
did, yeah. Well,
It
graphic
actually was
t-shirts was
difficult.
good,
It
yeah,
was.
because everyone could
It was very
participate.
last minute though.
We need to find one that's easy to participate with, and hopefully everyone gets behind. Because obviously, some people don't like participating, but we'll thank our listeners if they come up with a good idea. But just throwing it out there for the gala. I am excited to organize it. I need to have a business meeting with Jenna to figure out what we should do with it, and obviously talk to the two of you boys, Morgan, figure out what's going on. But yeah, excited to come back. It'd be nice.
We are unfortunately missing each other by one day. I'm
I
leaving the
know
country
what the
on
timing is so bad, bro.
Saturday, and Ollie is arriving into the country on Sunday. So we're just gonna have
Shocking timing.
another month
Mm,
separated. We're just
mm.
making the pod very difficult to record, but I hope
Yeah.
everyone is
No,
still enjoying the duos. Monologues possibly coming, but
yeah,
anyway,
my monologue could be dangerous. I just wanted to let that. I don't know. I saw some comments of people saying that Ollie's monologue would be very interesting. Because I just probably just rage and then backtrack
these would be
the
great.
last 20 minutes of my
I
rage.
would listen to Ollie's monologue for sure.
Yeah, I would listen to you and Morgan's because it'd be actually educational and nice, whereas mine could just be absolute garbage. But the monologues could be a fun idea. We'll see what our fearless leader Morgan McDonald thinks about that one as well while we push forward.
Yeah, should we get into some running finally?
Let's do
I
it.
can do. I may as well cover my weekend I just had. I was heading to New York for the the amazing Fifth Avenue mile. Third time lucky was what I was going for.
Yeah,
Didn't quite pull it off, unfortunately. Third place behind a very impressive run by Josh Kerr, world champ. Showed it. Apparently the fastest time since 94 or 96 or something down Fifth Ave in the pouring rain, which was very impressive. And the inform George Mills taking second. It was a good day for Team George and OEC. Great day.
yeah.
But
Um,
anyway, New
quick,
York was
quick, quick,
yeah go.
quick question, George. Whole Foods hot bar, was it hit? Did you hit
It
the Whole
was
Foods hot bar?
it was not hit.
It was not hit. Okay, I was wondering if you hit it or not. Okay,
No,
that's good to know. You
I
you don't want to go
don't know
back to
why.
that track.
I don't know why we ate at Whole Foods hot bar in the first place. There's so many better places to eat.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I'm gonna say. Highlight of the weekend was the eating. I actually
Mm.
had some great foods on arrival. Some very actually a little bit average late night pizza. Everyone's flights were delayed getting into New York on Friday. It was ridiculous. And
That sucks.
if anyone was reading, Josh Kerr's flight was cancelled from Boston, and he Ubered for $500 from Boston to New York.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Man.
Woody and Eric Sawinski were flying out of Denver before I was, and had to land in Cleveland because they couldn't get all the way to New York. So they spent the afternoon in Cleveland before being allowed to fly the rest of the way. There was like storms and all sorts of shit. And we were on our flight. I was on the later one out of Denver, and we ended up just doing circles around Nebraska for like 2 hours mid-flight, which sucked. And then So got in very late, which meant some late night pizza, which
And
weren't
shenanigans.
99 cents. Slices were not 99 cents. I thought that was like a thing in New York.
Mate, inflation. Inflation.
2 slices and a Gatorade was like $20.
God, that's ridiculous.
That's Midtown
Man.
Manhattan. So
Man.
it didn't feel
Well,
great
I'm
about
glad you guys got in. Do you know why it was all delayed and dealing with all those cancellations and stuff?
weather, I think, and then like there was like such a backlog of planes trying to land
Mm.
that,
Mm.
that it was like too much. I
Damn.
don't know shit going on. But then Saturday pre-race went to Brooklyn for dinner, and I've always like meant to get out of Manhattan and like into Brooklyn or Queens or somewhere else to eat or hang out. And Jenna came with me, which was very nice, and she's got some cousins that live out in Brooklyn, and so we caught up with them and went to this epic Italian restaurant that it was just so good. I had an oxtail ragu, and then
Ooh.
someone else, maybe one of my cousins, had a pasta, the amatriciana sauce or something. Probably butchered that. Should have asked Cinta for some pronunciation tips on that, but it's like just some delicious pasta sauce. So that was a very good experience. And then went back to that pho place after the race. You know that one we went to, like
Yeah, I know the
first
one
year?
you mean.
I
Yeah.
freaking love that place. It's
It's
like my
great.
favorite pho there is. I try and go there like every time I go to New York, or at least every time I'm forced to stay in Midtown, which is
Forced to stay in Midtown.
very, it's convenient for running, and it makes sense because it's right on the park. Um, and New York Roadrunners put on such a good event. Like it's all so well organized, and we put up in a very nice hotel. But because it's near the park and in that bit of New York, it actually sucks. Like Midtown blows.
Mm.
It's just like Times Square
It's not
and
too
a
commercial.
bunch of tourist traps.
Mm.
But I did well this year because then I went back to Brooklyn for dinner after the race. It's actually so easy to get out on a subway, like 20 or 30 minutes. You can get very far from Midtown very quickly, which I think is the key to enjoying a weekend in New York. And just hit up a, like, I don't even know, Asian fusion-y type place with some friends from New Zealand that also live in Brooklyn. So I think the food was, maybe apart from the race, I did enjoy the race. The food was definitely a highlight of the weekend. But once again, a very, very wet Fifth Ave. 2 years in a row, I've run Fifth Ave in just freaking pouring rain. This year was even more than last year. Like I feel bad actually. A few races before ours were cancelled due to, because I think there was some lightning going on as well, and we were like in those tents, kind of just next to Fifth Ave that they put up for the athletes to kind of store your bags in and walk over to before you start warming up. And we were just like hunkering down in these tents, and the rain was just so ridiculous outside. Like our tent was essentially flooding, like underneath our feet. And I was honestly starting to think like, how are they possibly going to run the races in these? But they ended up having to cancel a few of the races like between then, which was like 90 minutes before the race, and ours, because the TV window was closing for NBC at our race, so they were trying not to push ours back, but then they couldn't fit in these other ones before ours to get in before the TV window closed. So unfortunately, I think like a couple of heats before ours had to be cancelled for lightning/weather, and but we ended up being able to run, and it wasn't too bad by the time we got going. But man, there were some serious puddles down Fifth Ave, and but this year everyone kept their feet. I was telling Josh that he should have needed to bring some spikes to the start line after last year, but seems like Brooks must have figured out what was going on the bottom of those shoes. So Josh kept his feet, and unfortunately he hadn't had enough beers/fast food since Budapest, apparently. So he was still in.
Or maybe you had enough.
Or maybe he had just the perfect amount because he was still in bloody good shape, and was the class of the field for sure. So, full credit to the world champ for getting it done. Once again, the world champ coming out to Fifth Ave and winning. They're making a habit of that, which makes it difficult for the rest of us to get a dub there. Which I would love to win that race. It's so fun, but if the world champ keeps showing up every year, it's
Might be
bloody
tough.
tough race, bloody tough race to win.
Might be tough.
Um, hopefully, at least next year, hopefully I will graduate to starting on the front line, which I was. If anyone watched it, I was stuck back in the second row as the steeplechase through the field. I didn't make the cut to get put on the front line, which so pretty much because there's like 20 odd people in the race, and the start line probably only holds maybe it's 8. It's probably like 8 and 8, and then a couple of extras. And so Sam, the race organizer, kind of just lines up the people at the front that you would kind of expect. He basically says, Josh, stand in the middle, and then puts people on either side. Kind of pretty cool. World record holder in the road mile as of like yesterday, I saw. And then Azadine Habs, who's made the world final, and Mills, who just ran 3:30, and like Cooper and just some American 1500 guys on the front, and then the rest of us have to settle for backseat start spots, which I guess I don't really mind because I'm probably not going to be right at the front at the beginning. But it's not like on a track race where everyone's filing into like lane 1, and you can, if you want, you can go around the outside. Everyone's staying in a straight line. So once you start behind someone, you don't really have anywhere to go, at least for quite a while when it opens up a little bit. But I think they got out super hard actually in the first 400, even in the wet, and so it was very tough to get to the front. And I think I ended up. I looked back at the video. I'm in like third to last before at like 400 or 600 meters or something. So pretty standard George activity, George behavior, getting in the back, and yeah. But I was feeling good actually in this one. I think way more under control than last year. I mean, it is kind of a different feeling to get used to, just sprinting down the road and in marathon shoes, and just always feels fast no matter what, like even if it's not actually that fast. So I think it takes a bit to like kind of get used to that feeling and be a bit more relaxed, kind of in a road mile. But I stayed in a much straighter line this year, so that was also an improvement on last year. But yeah, and then went kind of wide on the left hand side of the road in the last 600, and actually I was feeling good and feeling like I had some gears left, but left the run. I mean, shit, I don't think anyone was catching Josh, but left the run a bit late, and to catch George, who he kind of made the race at just after 800 by the looks of it, but had to come away with third. Honestly, I think been kind of in the mix with those guys that have just run 3:30 in the last 10 days. Where like both of them ran 3:30 in Zurich, and Josh, he's the best 1500 run in the world at the moment, and George is up there as well. And yeah, to finish in the mix with them after a season of steeplechase, and haven't run a single 1500 all year, was good feeling. And I haven't really been, I've been doing nothing with the 1500 guys, since I went to St. Moritz or at Worlds or even after Worlds. Haven't done a single workout with Mara and Yared. So nice to know that I could still throw down and run 350 with some of the top milers in the world. So that was pretty sweet. Would have loved to run 349.9. That was 350.0 was tough. I bet that was rounded up too, because they round up races. Classic. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Ollie?
No, I think you summarized it really well. Josh is the world champion for a reason, and he's run a few of those type of races before. So, and particularly, I think coming off a world championship and running 329 twice this year, he's going to be pretty confident. And I think you did a fantastic job running with those guys. It makes me excited for the next time you run a middle distance race on the track, really, because I think there's a lot of potential there to run a lot faster and to improve on your already great times in the 15 and the mile. So But yeah, I mean, always sad to miss out in Fifth Ave, uh, or like I mean any race at the moment right now. But it looked like it was a great time even with the rain. So you guys looked like you had a great situation there, and the New York Roadrunners always host an incredible meet. So yeah, it's awesome. It is really awesome, and I think the one thing I wanted to say is that I'd love to see if there is a future where Jakob wins in Paris, if he'll come to Fifth Ave and run it, because that would be an interesting race to have him run, because I think he's one of those front runners that it's very hard to front run in that kind of race. I don't know if you'd agree with me, but I feel like you got to really gauge it correctly, and it's definitely a lot different than running on the track. You feel like you're closer than what you are to that finish line if you run that type of road mile. And to see Jakob run that with a lot of really talented athletes right on his back, it would be fun and exciting race to watch, and it would be cool to see him run. He probably could run really fast and break the record and all that sort of stuff. But
Would love to
yeah,
see.
no, it was awesome.
Would love to see Jengi at Fifth Ave. I'd hate to know how
it'd
much
be
they would
awesome.
have to pay him.
Yeah, they'd have to pay him a lot, I imagine. But I mean, New York Runners does well. New York Marathon is one of the biggest marathons in the world, I'm sure. And also Jakob, I'm sure like sometimes he might even just take a smaller appearance fee just to turn up and win. He might be like, I want to win this race and go for it. I'm sure he's that sort of competitor. But
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think Josh would have got the record if it was dry, or even if he just ran
100%.
through the line. I mean,
He
that
probably wasn't
record.
worried about the record. He probably just wanted to win, right? Or did he
No,
talk about the record before?
I mean, it's impossible to know if you're running fast or not. I feel like 'Cause you can. I think there is a clock at the quarters and maybe halfway, but like you go through. I think you went through in 1:59, so you never think after going through 1:59 like, all right, yeah, the record's on. Like, yes, he probably closed in 1:48. Does it add up? That's ridiculous. Like, I feel like that's hard to
That's really
think about
fast.
once you come through
Yeah.
that slow, because Fifth Ave is so downhill at the end. Like once you get to halfway, you can just fly the second half. Which, yeah, I mean, I think Jakob could probably run pretty fast. I'd love to see that. Love to be in that race. But actually, I have graduated. Apparently, I asked Sam after the race. I said, what do I have to do to get on the front row next year? And he said, yeah, you've done enough. You can graduate to the front row next year.
That's awesome.
So I'll get an extra meter. That was the difference between running 3:49. If I started on the front line, that would have been point one, right?
Yeah, even maybe more.
Who knows? That was also another New York. Just to let me know that I was in New York. I almost got in the midst of a subway, just a full blown fight on the subway. Coming back from Brooklyn on Sunday night, these two guys were just on the floor of the train, just going at each other. It's like, all right, this is how you know you're in New York. That and like a couple of rats down there. It was like mostly like not, no, it wasn't very violent. Like there were no knives or like they weren't actually trying to really beat each other. They were kind of just like bitch slapping each other, but just
No
on the
knives, just knuckle sandwiches.
yeah, just on the floor of the train. And we were like trying to like almost jump. Jen was like almost jumping on the seat. Like they were like landing at our feet. It was almost like borderline funny as long as you didn't get like caught up in it.
Yeah, then you yeah, like a cartoon, when they have that like little cloud that runs through and they're all fighting, and then you all of a sudden fall into it, and then you get beaten up. Yeah, well, glad you didn't fall into that, George.
Yeah, but I think that's probably fit there. So speaking of Jakob, he ran a race over the weekend.
He did run a race. That's right.
He ran a race.
Yeah.
How do we feel about 4:43?
What, for a mile? Oh, for 2K. It's for 2K.
It's pretty good for a mile.
I mean, it's good to know he's 100% again. Yeah, I mean, very impressive. I think maybe this is the mindset of him is like, I want to get these obscure records done early, and then I can really focus on the big ones. Because he did the 2 mile, then he's got the 2K. I mean, extremely impressive. It was pretty. I don't want to use your term for him, but it was pretty textbook Jakob. that type of race. Um, it was, it was crazy. I think this is going to be interesting going into pre. Will he try and just run to win it, or will he just try and run something ridiculous, try and run, close to 3:45, 3:44?
I
It
wonder if
is
he thinks.
crazy.
I wonder if he thinks he can break the world record in the mile now.
Oh, he definitely can. I think he thinks he can break the 15 too. He just needs the right situation for him. But the interesting thing is, I mean, he is the best in the world. Oh, well, he's not the best in the world, but he's one of the best runners in the world, and he's breaking all these world records. And I think the way he runs and the confidence he has, he's definitely one of those guys that can break these world records. Um, I'm interested to see what he does because he's doing the 3K mile. If he really, really just smashes both, or he just kind of tries to win both, I think, he's one of those guys he's only been beaten once this season. Is that correct? He hasn't been beaten by anybody else, right? He's undefeated besides
I think that's
Josh
correct.
Kerr. Yeah. It was incredible. I mean, I think this puts my question in that I wanted to ask you, George, about kind of when you look at these world records getting broken, and obviously it's an incredible achievement, and he's probably one of the best middle distance runners of our generation. But what would you rather, a world championship title or a world record? What would you rather, George?
Is it in the 2K? Well,
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say just a world record,
I think
or world championship.
I'm still choosing the middle.
I'm choosing the medal every day of the week. I don't give a
I think
fuck
you
about
got
the
to.
world record.
I
I
mean,
think,
world records are impressive, but no
yeah,
one's taking the world. You're world champion forever.
yeah,
That's
and I mean
just
that's the thing that Jakob. I'm sure Jakob would say the same thing, because I think for him, like his Olympic championship, he would never trade that for a world record. I think you'd be
no, I
stupid
don't think
to.
so.
But it's crazy to see someone like him come through and break these world records. It shows that times are changing, literally, but also we're going to
I
see
think he
some
really must be
incredible
in the
races
best.
from him in the future.
I think he really must be in the best shape of his life at the moment.
Oh,
So
100. I mean, yeah. Hey,
I
you
can't
ran
imagine.
3:27 in Oslo. He's run a 2 mile world record a week before that. He's run now a 2K world record. He's definitely in the best shape of his life. I mean, just to note, looking at the notes here, Mario national record 4:49. That's really fucking good.
That's so
And
good.
Stewie 4:48. Great to see Stewie crushing it again. Amazing athlete as well, Stewie McSwain. So yeah,
The
it's
results
crazy.
page was ridiculous. I mean, obviously it's
Yeah.
2K, so they're not run very often, but it was just world record, area record, national record,
Mm.
area record.
To be fair, these are really, really fast times, but it's also a 2K. It's not run
It is.
much. And
Yeah.
a lot of those athletes deserve those national records, not taken away from them. But it's not a race where it's a 1500 or a mile where it's run every week. So it's nice to see they get the opportunity to run a unique distance and they get rewarded for it because they've run incredible times. Um,
I think it was cool that
I
they put that on.
think it's cool as well.
Yeah, good for the sport having a
100%.
different distance. Um,
100%.
a couple of times a season. What would you do if he broke the mile wood record and the 3K in one weekend?
I would probably be very, very excited for it. I think
I
that's
almost think
an incredible
if he
achievement.
wanted to break the
It's
world
almost
record in
it's
the weekend, I feel like
yeah.
that would be so
Th-
easy at the moment for him.
They're not on the
The-
same day, are they?
no, miles on Saturday
No.
and whatever 3K is on Sunday.
I mean, look at this. The 2 mile, he ran a ridiculous split. For the 3K, it was like 7:20 something, 7:20 mid or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I honestly
Yeah,
can't
it was
remember.
the
Classic
last
Ollie.
after the first 218, like the last 3K. It was like it was barely off the world record.
Yeah, so he could probably hit it if everything goes right. He could probably hit that, and I think that's the hardest record to hit personally. I think 7:20 is crazy. Obviously the mile is crazy as well, but he's one of those guys that you can. I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, do you think Jakob could break the world record of the mile?" They probably at this point in time, they'd probably say, "I reckon he's got a good shot." You never know, but I reckon he's got a good shot. I reckon he'll run extremely fast, but yeah, you just don't know what happens until the day comes. I mean, I'm sure everyone thought with Wells that he was going to walk away with it, and then Josh Kerr showed that no, buddy, I'm going to take it from you. And it could be the same in the Diamond League final that's coming up at Pre. You never know who's going to turn up on the day and run maybe a race of their life or run something that's crazy, and Jakob might have an off day. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it 100%. It's awesome for the sport, particularly our event. Well, the event of middle distance running. It's just going to be keep creating interest and excitement, and you have all these characters like Mario, Stewie, Yard, Josh, George Mills. You have all these great athletes that have all stories and all characters, and it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely an awesome event to watch and get excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the pre-preview, Prefontaine, we should just mention Morgan, obviously our fearless leader, as Ollie calls him, raced this week in Zagreb. Outstanding.
He did all right.
He did all right,
Did
eh?
all right.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
all right. Zagreb is Morgan's spot, honestly. I told him
Man,
that.
he pops off in Zagreb. He
I
pops
was like,
off.
dude,
He
you
loves
got
it.
to go to Zagreb every year.
Yeah.
So, Morgan and Jonas both win 7:35 for third and fourth place. Obviously, we won't go into it too much. We'll let Morg share the details next week. But I'd say he's coming around at the perfect time for Road to Latvia. Everyone else is like coming crashing down after the season, and Morg's just getting going. Had a big
100%.
last lap apparently.
He did. I watched some replays of it. It looked unreal.
I think those three, Dominic is unbelievably talented. Dominic also runs for On, winning in 33, and Hingy coming second. And Jonas,
He coming second was actually really impressive as well.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't
man,
know.
that new hamstring must be great for him.
I think he has only got
Good
one
on him.
hamstring.
Good on him.
He's
He probably
running
already has one. He just split it between two legs. Yeah. I mean, honestly, good on him. It's great to see him come back and run well. It's exciting. It's good for the sport. So well done, Hingy. Hope you're listening.
There's a
Well
lot
done,
of
mate.
threshold.
A lot of threshold into that. A lot of
There's
threshold.
A lot of threshold.
A lot of threshold.
And I think there was kind of a group away, and I think Morgan just closed down on them massively in the last lap in the last 200. So can't wait to hear Morgan's recap of that next week. But it's the final week of the track season. We made it. Prefontaine. Good for the sport having the final in the US or not?
I think it's good for American track and field. I think the Americans, to give some perspective of it, I think they've been overseas for most of the year for the big races. I would say Budapest, a lot of the Diamond Leagues. So it's good for them to come home and to compete. I wouldn't say it's great for the Europeans. I think the last thing the Europeans want to do is travel to the US, just purely from the aspect of like comfort. You know, near the end of the year, you kind of want to be in the same area. You don't really want to travel very far for particularly if it's not a World Championship or Olympics. I can imagine that would suck. But I mean, it's Diamond League final. It's still pretty big. I mean, yeah, I think it is good. I really hope that there's good crowd there.
Mm-hmm.
I always give shit to Eugene because we don't have a great fan base in the US. We do. It's just the access. We go ramble about it all the time. The access, the cost, all that sort of stuff. But
like
you never know.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure to deliver this week.
Yeah,
like for the stadium. Like if the stadium is empty this week, like how are they going to get?
I think it's a sign.
I think it will be. This is like their last chance.
Is Jerry available for comment on this? I haven't heard anything from Jerry about hosting in his neck of the woods. No comment from Jerry. That's okay. I mean, yeah, I think it can be good for the sport. I want people to turn out. I want it to be a stacked field. I mean, you have some of the best athletes in the world competing in the Diamond League final. But you know, we'll see how it goes.
I have a couple of problems with the Diamond League.
I have some problems with it.
But before we get to the problems, should we do a little preview first?
Let's do a preview and then we'll get to the piles and problems. Yeah.
So on Saturday, George is racing steeplechase, Diamond League final, 9th steeplechase of the season. How ridiculous is that? I've already run 8.
Pretty crazy.
I'm gonna do one more.
Pretty crazy.
One more just for fun.
Why not?
I'm very happy to qualify this year. I was lucky enough to watch Ollie in Zurich the last 2 years.
Now I'll be watching you. Full circle. Full circle.
Yeah, I've been at both the last two Diamond League finals, courtesy of on a little bit. Kind of we doing a visit to the headquarters just and coming through Zurich, and it's been epic both years, and always run amazing in both of them, and now I have to take the flag for us. Hopefully,
Coffee club flag.
yeah, I have to fly the coffee cup flag alone. I'm sure at some point I think all three of us can be at the final, but
yeah.
I got a Saturday afternoon race and it's supposed to be fucking hot in Eugene again, which is
George's specialty.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was going to say. That's a big strength of mine. So that's how we're going into it. And yeah, joined by I'm looking at the list right now. Albakali is running. He's not going to miss out on the final. He loves a bit of that action. Germa, however, is not entered. Interestingly, he DNF'd in Zurich in the 5K, and I assumed he wasn't injured. I assumed it was just got really hard. I don't know. He'd never run a 5K before, but I thought that meant he would want to come back and, get some redemption in the last step of the season. But at least as of today, Wednesday afternoon, he's not on the entries. But Albakali, 3 Ethiopians, 4 Kenyans, Mura, Japanese guy who was right behind me at Worlds, and Daniel Arce, as Mario would say, the Spanish steeplechaser. So small field, which Diamond League final always is. There's only 11. That's happening Saturday afternoon, and Saturday is also the Ave Mile, which is I do think it's cool that they are sticking to the mile for the final. Like they didn't change it to a 1500 just because it's Diamond League final. Like it is still just pre, which means it's a mile. And both Yared and Mario are in there with Jingy, with George Mills, with Stewie, with Laros, Santana, New Zealand, Nordas. Pretty good field. It's missing there were quite a few scratches. Josh Kerr scratched, Mokatir scratched, Chariot Senior scratched. Is that all? There were a number, which, I mean, for various reasons, I imagine. And also in there is Cole Hocker, which is one of the things I feel like worth talking about. And I'm not sure I don't know if everyone's aware, but if you're the host country of a Diamond League, you get a wild card in every event, essentially. Which is, I think it's generally a good thing. But I'm not sure if there still should be wild cards for the Diamond League final. Like, you spend the whole Diamond League season trying to qualify, like, for the final. Like, there's no matter what you do at Worlds, doesn't mean shit for qualifying for the final. Like, you only get Diamond League points at Diamond League meets in the top 10, but I think maybe 12 this year on points in the Diamond League standings make it to the final. But then the US people just get to send someone in every single event, regardless of what points they have. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that. I can't really decide. What do you reckon?
Well,
I think Cole deserves to be in there, but he doesn't have the points for it.
I personally think Cole should be in there, but I personally think that there's a couple of issues. Number one, I think the wildcard thing is great, but if you host the Diamond League final, I believe personally there should be no wildcards in the Diamond League final. I think Diamond Leagues in general should have a wildcard. The Diamond League final, no, because well, it backtracks as well because I look at it in this way. Making a Diamond League is hard enough as it is. A lot of athletes have been, a lot of professional runners that like that. Some of them for that's their goal. Like they might have a goal of like I want to, as a professional runner, I want to run in a Diamond League. That's one of my goals. That's one of my dreams to do because this is one of the highest levels of competition you can compete at. And the wildcard thing kind of puts that in the perspective of like, well, we have a really, We're a small country, for example, country A, small country, and we have this great athlete. He's got a lot of potential. He's young. We're going to give him the wild card to give him an opportunity to compete at that Diamond League. And then you could see him pop off from there. And then he starts getting into the Diamond Leagues in his own right, gets the points, makes the final. I think it sucks in some ways to have, if Cole Hocker goes and wins it, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Kudos to him. And he has the potential to do that. However, he didn't do all the points. He didn't do all the races. So it's kind of bullshit that he wins the last prize, personally.
Yeah, he
The
definitely
wild card
deserves.
thing is different
He
for the other
definitely
races.
deserves to be there in terms of his like how good he is. He's definitely good enough to be in the field. But I think
No
like
question about that.
a big part of the Diamond League final is rewarding regular season performances, and we always talk
Exactly.
about how making the regular season a bigger deal is I think an important part of the sport, and that means you got to go to Europe, you got to go to Rabat, you got to make an
You
effort
got to
during
race
the
the
regular season
races.
to show up to the big races, and even if that takes a small toll on some training, and but then you're rewarded for those regular season performances by making it to the biggest Diamond League meet of the year, where there's the most money on the line and the most ranking points and the most of whatever else. Whereas
Mm.
I feel like you can just, and if the with the wild card thing in the final, you can just skip kind of. I mean, you can't skip obviously the entire regular season, but you can just be like, oh, I don't have to. I don't have to worry about going to that meet somewhere.
Mm.
I'll just hope
Well,
to get the wild card. Obviously, only one person gets wild card, and I don't know. It's just something to think about.
an example of that is Athing though, and I hate to use the thing as an example
That's a
because
great. No, that is no, that's a bloody good example. She is running.
she's amazing. She is amazing, and she should be in that field. However, she hasn't raced, but she's got the wild card because she's a US athlete, and she's one of the greatest 800-meter runners around, and she deserves to be in that race. However, the circumstances of her being in that race sucks because you have girls. I have to be biased. Kat Bissett, other girls that have run every single Diamond League, and they get to that and they're like, "Well, I think not saying I think is fresh per se, but she doesn't race that much. She can go
Mm-hmm.
in. She's probably a bit more like her legs are probably a bit better than everyone else, and she'll go and win that and take that money away from people where she didn't really do the qualification to make that race. So that there's issues with that. I know there's probably going to be people that have issues with what we say about it, but that's just the way we look at it as athletes that compete in it, and we're also athletes, me and George, that don't have a home Diamond League, so
Mm-hmm.
we have to do it. You know, we're not lucky enough to have a Diamond League in our country, so it's a bit different for those athletes. I
Yeah, I
also
think
have this
that's,
issue,
that one's a
George,
great example.
um, which I don't know if it's for every athlete, but it's very interesting to see that the wild cards are going to Nike-based runners,
Have they all?
which I don't know if how they all, but I've looked at a few of them. They're all Nike runners. So, for example, Joe Klecker, if he was going to get a wild card, I don't think he needed one though. I think he qualified off points. But
Wayne Kalani
if it's
got the Williams
between Joe
5K.
Klecker and I don't know who hasn't raced Sean McGordy or something like that, they're probably picking Sean McGordy because they're a Nike athlete because it's a Nike run meet. There's another issue with that too with the wild card is that if it's it doesn't matter if it's Nike, it doesn't matter if it's on. If it's a on sponsored meet, they'll pick Joe over Sean McGordy because the meet director is working with on or working with
Yeah, that's a
Nike.
good point.
There's issues with that too. So yeah, there's a couple of problems, and the last problem I have to bring it up because I want the sport to be better. George wants the sport to be better. The Diamond League money is absolutely shithouse. The final money is ridiculous. It's $30,000 for the win. Um, I don't think people obviously thinking, well, 30,000 is probably a lot of money for athletes, and it is. However, a regular Diamond League is $10,000 to win. If you have a Diamond League final and you qualify all these points, back in the day, I don't know how many years ago, it was probably $90,000 to $70,000 you would win, and now it's down to 30,000. I don't know where that money's gone because the Diamond League is extremely popular at the moment. It has sold out stadiums, it has a lot of media around it, and it's been very successful from an athlete's point of view. But the money, the prize money for those athletes, has gone down just a lot. It's not good enough. It's unacceptable. You have these athletes that in that circuit are competing at the highest level trying to make a living as well and deserve the right to be making a lot of money. They're the best athletes in the world. That's another reason why I have an issue with that final, is that if you're a Diamond League final winner, you should be making a good amount of money from that prize money. Most of those athletes who win at pre on the weekend will make a lot of money from their contracts, not from the prize money from the meet itself. I think that's disgraceful. I think the Diamond League needs to fix that, because if you want the best athletes in the world to turn up and to run your final, you probably need to fix up the qualification situation. You got to make it more high risk, high reward, because it is a risk to run all those Diamond Leagues. You might get injured, you might deal with adversity in
Mhm.
some way, but you get that reward. You make the final, you win 70,000, and you're the Diamond League final winner. It's got to mean something. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, if he wins the Diamond League final, he's winning it because he's a competitor and he wants to win. That's great. But some people who don't have the Jakob Ingebrigtsen profile might win a Diamond League final, might be the best race of their careers, and they don't get the rewards that they deserve out of it. So that's another issue I have with it. I know the Diamond League has done some amazing things for our sport. It's grabbed attention of so many people. It's been able to offer these opportunities to these countries and run these amazing meets and have the fan engagement that us athletes have been craving for, and they've done an amazing job with that. So the Diamond League has done so many right things, but I think one wrong thing they need to do is to fix up the prize money situation. I think that needs to increase, particularly these days with inflation and the way athletes pay. I mean, most athletes are paying for their flights there too. They might get some sort of subsidized costs, but if you're an athlete that might not be a Jakob Ingebrigtsen level athlete, and you're paying for that flight to get there, that's taken out of your prize money too. So you're probably making less as well. And I think, yeah, that's something that, and Eugene's not cheap to get to,
Mhm.
particularly for an international athlete. So I would love to see them maybe up the ante with the money. Maybe next year, if they've done really well this year and made a lot of profits and stuff, they think, okay, let's push it up to 50K. It doesn't have to be 70K or whatever I said before, but push up the money a little bit, give it a bit more height, because that's the cool thing about that, is that most of the big athletes in the world, I mean, we can't talk about tennis because tennis makes a shit ton of money, but most of those big meets or those big competitions in the world, which is the Diamond League final for us in track and field next to Olympics and Worlds, they have a good big prize money thing, and they have good kind of high risk, high reward thing. You have to go qualify, you have to go do these races. So hopefully that can fix. I think they're looking at that. So that's the problems I have with it, not necessarily it being at pre, but the way the final has been the past couple of years. So there's my
No,
rant.
no, that's a good points there. While you're on it, do we think that the Diamond League final should be paced or not? Should it be a championship style racing, or should it be with paces? It's essentially just another Diamond League. What do you reckon?
Mm. No, that's interesting. I think it would. I would obviously give this to the fans to see what the fans think would be better. As an athlete, like I don't think George and I are going to complain if there's a pacer in it, because we kind of, as athletes, we particularly in track running, a bit of certainty is always nice, because there's so much shit that can happen, particularly in steeplechase, George, I imagine. But if you can make it into a championship setting, um, it's definitely much more of a competitive and an unknown factor, which maybe that would make a final a final. The World Championship final was not paced. The Olympic final was not paced. It can be paced by the athletes that are running the race, but they're not paced by a rabbit. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. Maybe it's a way to save money. I don't want to take anyone's job as a pacer away, obviously, but I think personally, my gut tells me the Diamond League final probably shouldn't be paced. If you want to go for a world record, if you want to go for that sort of stuff, do it in the season. But a Diamond League final should be a
Mhm.
final, and a final doesn't really have a pacer. So that's where I stand with it. I'm sure people would disagree with me on that, but I think that would be a cool aspect of it, is that every Diamond League you do, it has a pacer. Maybe someone's going for an area record or world record or whatever in any event. But then you get to the Diamond League final, no pacer. You guys are racing, pure competition. I think that would be a cool positive thing about it. What do you think, George?
I think there's definitely an argument both ways.
Mm,
I think I would love to see Jingy and Yared running like 344, 345, and they're probably
that would be cool.
only going to do that with a pacer. And I think the 1500 field is good enough now, where even if there is a pacer, there should still be a race at the end. Like obviously, he was such a level above everyone in the 2K that there was obviously not a race at the end. He won by 5 seconds, but I think in the mile, I feel like some people can hang with him, that there'll still be a race. And And somewhere in the steeple, I don't mind if there's a pacer to get it going at the beginning. Which, I mean, I hope it's not world record pace. That's no fun for anyone, especially me. I don't want that.
Who knows? Maybe you can hang with it. You never know.
I wouldn't mind if it was just 1K, and then if they drop off and someone wants to keep it going, then they can. But if it slows for a little bit, I wouldn't mind that. But again, I wouldn't mind if running a bit faster. I feel like I could have broken 8:10 on the first day of Worlds, like in the heat. If that was just kind of how good I felt then, and if I've somehow kept that fitness, hopefully, for the past month, then I'd like to run fast. So yeah, I feel like there should still be a really good level of competition, even with paces, which I'm sure there are. So that's pre. Alicia and Sage are also running for the OAC on Sunday, second day of the meet. So 5 OAC athletes, pretty good.
Good number.
We're gonna wrap the season up.
Yep. And if you're in the area, go support them. I know it's Eugene. I know you know how I feel about Eugene, but the best thing you can do is go and support those athletes, buy tickets, ask them for photos and autographs. They definitely don't mind. So, yeah, it'll be an amazing meet, amazing situation. So, hopefully we can get. We haven't had a Diamond League win yet for our team.
We haven't had a what?
You never know what's going to happen. Diamond League final win. Sorry,
Well,
Diamond
win.
League, yeah, final win. So Yarod's got 2 wins. So he could go out there and disappoint somebody like Jingy, and then you've also Alicia's crushing it. Sage is an incredible athlete that runs the 800 so many times that she's probably already knowing how it's going to go down. So she's also going to be a threat. Yeah, looking forward to that, to ending that season there, and then we'll focus on the gala from there.
We will. Yeah. And we've been going a decent while, so maybe I'll just pick one of these Q&As to finish with. And I actually quite like this first one, which maybe we can show someone the archives. Tell us a YouTube video to watch that we should watch of one of your favorite college races you've been in. One college race you have on YouTube that fans should go watch.
One of my races.
Yeah.
I really didn't do that much. I did well in college, but the only one I can think of is when I won NCAA's, which is a standard one. But if I'm thinking about myself, and you want to watch a race where I did well, and you want to study it in some way about racing, maybe the NCAA race where I won that one, which was awesome for me. But my favorite race I've been a part of that's a good race to watch is honestly the cross country where Morgan won. It's my favorite race to watch because if you look at, I know you win that, so that's good for George. Talking about that race, but if you look at that pack, that front pack, and you recognize those faces, a lot of those faces are running professionally today and crushing it, and they're really like Grant Fisher, Joe Klecker, Morgan. You have Baxter in there. You have George. You have, I think Louis G's in there. Is he in there?
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, that's a good front pack, and it's big.
It's one of those. It's cool to watch that to see where those athletes are now, like the progression, the growth, but also the tactics involved in those type of races. So, personally, if you're going to watch a race that I'm in, which I'm in that race, I finished like 15th or some shit, but it doesn't matter about that. I think you should watch that race because it's a cool race to watch. The hype, the excitement. It's at Wisconsin. Morgan wins. He's from Wisconsin. NAU win. It's a really cool race to watch. I think that would be a good YouTube pick if people want to watch a cool race. I would pick that one.
Good race for the coffee club, really.
Really good race for the coffee club.
NAU winning, Ollie, your best finish, right?
That was my best cross country race. I think that was my best one. So,
Right,
but yeah, no, I think that would be a good one to watch. What about you, George? Do you have one in particular?
I'll pick one track race. If anyone wants to watch me, I kick Ollie.
Very well too.
Go watch the mile. But I also have one cross country race that was probably one of my favorite college races to be in. Not one that we won nationals, but because it was like maybe the easiest race I've run and it felt the best. Probably because it was dead flat and rock hard. But 2019 Mountain Regional Cross Country, Salt Lake City, Utah. It took me 5 years and my second to last cross country race to get a cross country dub.
Nice.
In my career. Only one I got, and the next week didn't go very well, as everyone knows. But that's a pretty cool race. Me, Luis, and Brody go 1, 2, 3, and it made us look like we should have done quite well the next week. So, but anyway, that was a great race. I enjoyed it a lot. I was running next to Kerr a bunch in it, just kind of chatting a little bit. I always thought regionals was fun. It's kind of the race where no one runs too hard. Like everyone's kind of just like keeping their legs for the next week, like staying controlled for like half at least, like maybe 7 or 8K, and then we kind of got rolling the last like K, and it sort of came down to a K. I don't know. Go watch it if you want. It's a cool race. That's what I got.
Awesome.
Thanks for the Q&A, guys. We'll leave some more for an episode. We've got nothing to talk about. That's it for us. Ollie will be back in Boulder next week for the episode. I will be in New Zealand. I'm going straight to New Zealand from Eugene. Very excited about it. And
the switch. Me and George are doing the switch. I'm going to the US. You're going to Oceania.
Who knows where. But thanks for joining us. Episode 99.4. Done and dusted.